Hey guys, welcome back to the garden. I'm officially going to give you a September garden tour because I completely skipped August. I personally feel like there isn't much to show you, but then there is actually quite a bit to show you. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. For any of you that might be new here, hi, I'm Bre. I live in Kansas Zone 6B. We are officially about 4 weeks out from our first expected frost. So there's been a lot that has came out of the garden in the last 4 weeks, and everything is kind of just finishing up. Here we actually have these cucumbers that I wanted to show you. So my cucumbers this year have just all around not gone that great, but I ended up leaving these two just a little bit too long on the vine. I came out one morning after it rained and they were already so huge, I decided just to go ahead and leave them. So I will leave these on the vine for about, I would say, another day or two until they get all this orange color, and then I can actually save the seeds from them. So that's pretty cool. Whenever you're saving any type of seeds from fruit, you want to make sure that fruit is in its most mature phase most of the time. So that is what a mature cucumber looks like, which is really crazy. If you guys watched last week's video, you will know I just processed all of my tomatoes, but I still have this volunteer tomato plant and then one other one over in the corner that I'll show you guys in a little bit. I'm actually just now starting to get the first ripe tomatoes on this plant, which is really exciting. It is starting to get some blight. I kind of just let this do its thing. I barely have touched it. I just pruned off some dead leaves the other day, but this thing's just kind of alive and thriving, and I'm getting even more tomatoes than I thought, which will be really cool. I don't know if I will process these into sauce or not. I might just make some tomato soup one night. I might just make it into salsa because I just have peppers coming out of the garden like crazy, but I'm really excited that I'm getting a second wave of tomatoes. So right behind this volunteer tomato plant is actually where I have all of my serranos, banana peppers, jalapenos, and paprikas, and this bed is just cranking out the peppers, so much so I'm starting to not get around all of my serranos. They're starting to turn red, but I actually still will can those. I actually need to come through and harvest peppers probably tomorrow. I've been harvesting them about once a week. Here in front of this bed I actually have all of my cayennes, which I have been getting so many cayennes, and I'm very thankful because I love making cayenne little chili flakes that you can put on pizza. I put them in all my pasta dishes, make some cheesy bread, throw it on it. It's absolutely amazing. I love to throw these little chili flakes in pickles, teriyaki sauce, just give it a little bit of spice. But cayennes bring us a lot of happiness in this home, and they're really doing well this year. What's been interesting is the only peppers not to do well this year have been my bell peppers. So last year I had so many bell peppers that I actually still have some in the freezer that I need to get rid of. But the peppers that have been forming have just been getting a lot of this sunspot. So they end up just rotting, kind of like blossom end rot, but the sun kind of hits it and whatnot. So I mean, ooh, gosh, I didn't even notice that one. Look at that. That is gross. So I need to come through here. I do have a few good looking fruits, but for the most part they're all on the smaller side, and I've only gotten one bell pepper so far this year, which I find actually pretty crazy. It's kind of disappointing, but you always have a fail every year, and bell peppers have not been that great for me this year. Going over here though, another thing that has not gone well for me is these beds right here. I actually forgot to mention this in a video a few videos back. These are my strawberry beds, and I've planted beans in them multiple times. I have these strawberries going. Honestly, they probably would have produced, and they have been producing. It's just I'm not reaping the benefit of any of the thing that is being produced because squirrels live in these beds. I catch them in these beds every morning, stealing something, digging in something. I'm sure I'm gonna find a walnut or a pecan or something in these. But I did go ahead and do something that I really don't know is going to do well or not, especially now because these beans are starting to go crazy. So I had all these extra tomato cages from pulling my tomatoes, and I decided, why not? Let's just plant some cucumbers on it and see if they will do anything. Since cucumber beetles should kind of diminish here in the next few weeks, these should actually start to take off and do really well. They actually have some good looking flowers on them, so that's exciting. These cucumber plants over here have been the only cucumber plants to look good this entire year, so I'm very excited for this. I actually have some more cucumber plants in the old tomato area that I will show you guys in a second, but then I also have beans. Like I made these little bean teepees about 3 weeks ago now. I was like, you know what, I have all of these bamboo sticks. I'm sure I can make a bamboo teepee and trellis some pole beans on it. And for the most part, they're doing really well. You will see they are starting to get a little bit too tall, but I'm sure they'll wrap down again. Either way, it was just going to be wasted space. So we'll see how my little experiment with that goes. Over here in the little hoop house area, I don't know how cabbage worms got in here, but they got in here. And I was also battling a few grasshoppers. So there is a little bit of damage on these plants, but honestly, there really isn't much. I threw some diatomaceous earth down, and that really seemed to handle the problem. A lot of these plants will recover from that little bit of pest damage. The one thing I find really interesting about all of the pest damage on these plants is that my purple broccoli actually wasn't affected at all. This is a new hybrid variety from Botanical Interest this year. I don't know if it's resistant to anything, but so far it's definitely seeing like that is the case. These plants are absolutely beautiful, so that's really exciting to see. I need to do some research on that and see if they are resistant to anything. One thing that's kind of an eyesore to the garden at the moment is all of my black beans. So this is just black beans from the grocery store that you can buy. So these are black turtle beans. I wanted to see how much I could produce in a 4x4 area, because ideally, once I get some land, I would love to plant like a good amount of black beans or wheat or one of those crops that I do use a lot of in my kitchen that might take up a little bit more room. So by doing the 4x4 area, I can kind of see just the amount I can get out of that little area, maybe times the amount to see roughly how much I might need. But really cool, interesting experiment. I'll probably be able to harvest these beans in a few weeks. There's quite a few of them on the plants that are pretty dry already, but they just need to get very crisp and then they're ready. And actually, if you didn't know, this is actually true for every bean. So any type of pole bean or bush bean you have in your garden, if you want to save those seeds, let them go to the point where you can actually shell them, and that is your seed. And it's crazy to think that things like chickpeas, kidney beans, black beans all come just from a typical bean plant like this. We have another green bean teepee, and then we have my trellis over here, which I really hope this will give me like one last hurrah for the summer. At least I'm really hoping it will do so. The beans on here are really starting to take off. This is actually a Blue Lake pole bean variety. So Blue Lakes typically come in bush bean form, but this is a hybrid variety for a pole form. So I'm really excited. I love the blue bush bean, the Blue Lake bush bean. So I'm really excited about this pole bean. We have these garlic chives over here, and oh my gosh, guys, are they not the most beautiful things ever? So these are garlic chives. These are a perennial in my area. They come back, and this is actually the first time they've ever bloomed. I planted these last year, so they're at full maturity. And you can see that the bees just absolutely love it, which is really exciting. I also have another like hyssop plant that was volunteer. That's really allowing the bees to do their thing as well. Then the last of my garden beds, really, I just have some bush beans down here. I've really planted beans wherever I possibly could. Here's the lettuce I planted a few weeks back with you guys. It's really taking off. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm really happy about this lettuce. We have some collards here, and then I believe that is all oh no, that is actually bok choy. I planted all bok choy right here, and then over here I have some collards, kohlrabi, radishes, and then we also have some beets. All of the herbs are looking really good. I've been honestly just going crazy with the preserving of herbs lately. This thyme plant over here, and also my rosemary, got a really good haircut the other day. These are the last of my zinnias, and they are just really putting on a show. How pretty are those? I actually clipped back all of my hyssop about a month ago, so this should actually really have one last hurrah for the year. You can see all of the new little blooms on it. I did this with all the hyssop around the yard. The bees have been really enjoying that second round. Then we have another bunch of beans. I'm telling you guys, I literally planted beans in any available space. They actually help replenish the nitrogen, so it's a really good crop just to throw in if you have the time. I definitely suggest succession sowing beans. Oh my gosh, that was such a tongue twister. So the last place to show you guys this evening is actually where the tomatoes were. So in this space, I have a bunch of cucumbers, some pole beans, and also snow peas, and then the basil I had throughout the summer. I also sprinkled just a ton of carrots around to see if they would take off, and I actually have quite a few of them starting to get their true leaves, which is really exciting. So really, that's about it for the garden, guys. There really isn't much else outside of this. The trellis tunnel is not happening this year, unfortunately. The cucumbers that I planted over there ended up getting attacked by cucumber beetles, unfortunately. So Trellis Ellis really wasn't a dream come true this year, but Trellis Ellis 2.0 next summer, I have really, really cool high hopes for it. So I'm actually really already kind of checked out of this year's garden. I'm just putting in the work that's need be, but I'm really starting to plan next year. There's a lot of rearranging that me and my husband are going to be doing, and I also need to get this tree cut down. Finally, I'm gonna get this tree cut down sometime November, December, hopefully by then a lot of my cool crops will be done and harvested, and that way if anything falls it won't be crushing my plants. But that's the plan. I'm actually thinking I'm going to take the 3 trellises over there that made the tunnel, these 3 trellises, and the trellis I just showed you guys with the beans up front there, and make one extra long trellis tunnel kind of where these black bags and the tree are, and I think that will just be really cool. I want to put like little twinkling lights and all sorts of stuff, but I really don't want to get into all of my plans for next year. I could go on and on about the things I'm daydreaming about, but for now this is what the garden is looking like, and I can't believe we only have 4 weeks left until the first expected frost date. But I hope you guys enjoyed this insight to my garden in September. I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.